Gamers, I'm sorry. So it turns out we don't have Lacrima, unfortunately, in the Fiendsmith engine, which has me surprised and upset. This engine becomes a lot worse, honestly, like pretty significantly worse without Lacrima. That's not to say it's unplayable, but my last little video I made a guide. I assumed we would have Lacrima like a lot of other content creators, and I was wrong. And for that, I am sorry. So I'm trying to quickly whip up a video. This is not going to be a deck profile. It's just going to be another Fiendsmith guide without Lacrima this time. I'm going to leave that other video up because obviously eventually we'll get Lacrima, and you know that could be a resource that's useful at that point. So what are the implications of not having Lacrima? For those who don't know, when I say Lacrima, I don't mean this fusion. I mean the beautiful waifu that goes in the main deck that we don't have. Okay, I put the picture on the screen, you can see it. It's a wonderful looking card. Okay, yeah, that card sends a Fiendsmith card to the graveyard. That could be, you know, your Engraver. Most of the time it's your Engraver, but like on opponent's turn you could also send the Fiendsmith trap card. This one here, Fiendsmith in Paradise. And that's also useful because during your opponent's turn, you could banish this card, send the Desiree from your extra deck to the grave, and then Desiree could shuffle back a Light Fiend to pop a card. So she could be removal on opponent's turn, or she could help you get more resources. It's like pretty damn important for Lacrima to do this because usually you would go Engraver, discard, search the Tract, and then Tract searches a Light Fiend and discards a card from your hand. So you search Lurie, discard Lurie. If it's discarded, it special summons itself. It's a Light Fiend. You can go into your Link 1, activate your Link 1, and what we wanted to do after that is tribute Requiem and summon Lacrima, send an Engraver to the grave, Engraver graveyard effect, shuffle back Lurie, summon it from the grave, and you can go into your sequence, your Link 2. So that's not possible here. Lurie on its own is not good. It's not useful. Tract on its own, if you have no other cards in your hand, also doesn't do anything. If you activate Tract, you get to add Lurie, discard it, special summon it, make your Link 1, summon Engraver, and that's it. You're going to need to do other things at that point to be able to play. But that's not to say the engine is bad. So in this video, I'm just going to be showing you different lines that you have access to. The only piece of the engine that if you draw it on its own, it's good, is Engraver. If you draw Engraver, you can discard it, search Tract, summon Lurie. You go into your Link 1, and then you can go Link 1, summon Engraver. At that point, you can go Engraver effect in the grave, shuffle back your Lurie, and you have two bodies to make your Link 2 and potentially fusion into either Desiree or Lacrima if you want to make a Beatrice or something. By the way, this here is also to show you the package you need, okay? So this is the package. Beatrice, it depends on the deck. A lot of decks are going to use Beatrice as a way to basically glue the engines together. You can go Beatrice with your Link 2. You can still do that. You know, it's just not as good as if we had Lacrima. So anyway, I'm kind of beating around the bush here. We're going to go into solo mode. I think I'm going to use Yubel to show you. And matter of fact, Yubel Fiendsmith, okay? This is going to be a really good list, but it's not going to be nearly as good as if we had Lacrima. The combo I showed in my Fiendsmith video changes and it is not as good, so that's why I'm going to be using this list as my example. But anyway, let's go into solo mode and let me show you a couple of Fiendsmith tricks. Okay, so this hand is a pretty good example of what I was saying here. So I drew my 1-of Tract, right? So what do we do with a 1-of Tract when we don't have Lacrima? Well, you would still search Lurie because you want the free summon from it, right? You discard Lurie. Lurie will activate in the graveyard, and then you can special summon it. At this point, you can go into your Link 1, and this is where you get some issues, right? Because you go into your Link 1 can summon Engraver from the deck, but you need another body. You need to be able to do more, unfortunately. Like this, on its own, just doesn't do anything. Like, let's say my hand was all hand traps here, okay? I couldn't really do anything. The only thing I have activatable is this Requiem that I can equip to Engraver, but that's not really going to achieve anything for us. Now, we have other cards to play with, and we're just going to ignore these cards here. Like, if these were all bricks and you were in this scenario, a thing you could do, honestly, is you could just summon a hand trap, and then you can go and play your line out. Like, let's just pretend that I don't have Squirmer and Lotus in hand, and that my whole hand is bricks. Well, then I could like summon Ash. Let's say like, let's just say my whole hand is like hand traps and stuff like that. I could summon Ash, go into sequence with these two, right? And we can still like make it work. It's just not as good. You always need something to summon. Here I had to waste my normal summon on that, for example. But here you could fusion summon, you know. You have all the materials you need in the grave, so like that's fine. You make your Lacrima, you use your Luri in the grave, you can use your Link 1 in the grave, shuffle them both back, go for Lacrima. You go for Lacrima effect, bring back the Engraver, special summon it, and like from here you can do, in this deck for example, what you would do if this was all hand traps and you wanted to combo is you would go Beatrice, and you can still make it work. You can still make it work, you know, but I needed to summon a monster. I needed to. So is it as good? Definitely not. It's definitely not as good. But, you know, here you could send like a Lotus, go Muckraker, you know, go Muckraker. Or if it was Snake Eyes, you would send Snake Eye Ash and summon Promethean Princess. If it was Sprite, you would send Sprite Blue and summon Elf. But the same concept applies, right? So here, you know, you could shuffle back a card, you know, do a little bit of burn damage. You can go for Muckraker effect, discard one of these, you know, you target your Samsara Lotus you just sent. Discard, we'll just pretend this was a hand trap. And there you go. You know, you'd be able to go for your Yubel combo from here, and you'd have some extension with Engraver in the grave being able to shuffle back the Lacrima and summon itself, so you could use that as some link fodder. But we are fiend locked since it's Yubel, right? Yubel in particular, honestly, is not going to be nearly as broken because we don't have Lacrima. It still, I think, benefits from this engine, but it's just not going to be as crazy as it would have been with Lacrima, unfortunately. But now I'm going to show you like that if you have Engraver in hand, you still get a lot out of this engine. All right, perfect. I got super lucky. I actually did get the Engraver first try, so that's cool. So yeah, look at this hand. Everything's unplayable except for Engraver. But we can do basically what we did prior, but without having to use a hand trap, which is nice. So here, like I won't have to summon this Droll and Lock. So I can go like Fiendsmith Tract. We can add the Luri to the hand here. Discard the Luri, just like we did earlier. And then we get the Luri effect in the grave. We can special summon it. Go into our Link 1. There we go. And we do want to summon out our second Engraver here. So we're going to tribute it. We can use Engraver effect in the graveyard. Shuffle back the Luri. And it's the exact same, basically. You go into sequence. The exact same. Like, literally the exact same. You would go into sequence here. And that way you can bridge into your combo using Beatrice, right? So the engine is still good. Like, this gives you more functional hands. It gives you more playable hands. But it's just not as crazy. You just don't get as much advantage without getting that send to the grave from Lacrima. Here we can go Lacrima Fusion version. Special summon it. There we go. And, you know, same difference exactly. We go Beatrice, and then you're going to play Yubel Fiend locked in this scenario. If it was a different deck, you know, you'd be sending something different and reviving with a different card. But generally speaking, it's the same idea. So, I mean, you send the Samsara Lotus, make Muckraker, same difference. You know, it's not amazing. It's just fine. Okay, so next up, I guess what I'm going to show you is that you can still do the moon play, like Moon of the Closed Heaven, but really to take advantage of it, you need more so the 3 bodies than 2, because you need another body since Lacrima doesn't get you that free value of sending the Engraver. So let's go do that. All right, and this hand is going to be a good example of like if you draw no Fiendsmith engine and no Yubel engine or whatever deck you're playing, if you can get to 3 summons, you can do the Fiendsmith thing, but you know, it's a lot better when you can do it with 2 summons. So here, for example, you would add the Dark Beckoning Beast, and you can summon it and search the level 1, right? So you search this level 1 here. Now, in my last video about Fiendsmith, I showed you that any 2 bodies is full Fiendsmith combo because you can go into Moon, which is a light fiend. Unfortunately, without Lacrima being able to send Engraver, that basically means that you don't get the extender you need to make this truly make this a 2-body combo. It's now a 3-body combo because when you go Requiem here, you activate the effect, and you summon, you have to summon Engraver, And obviously, if you have to summon Engraver, you can't summon something else, get the Engraver in the grave, and then summon Engraver from the graveyard. So in this case, for example, we'd have to go for our opening of the Spirit Gates, discard a card, and get a third summon. So yeah, you need to have access to 3 summons in order to get into the Fiendsmith engine. I will say, though, that hand is a lot worse without the Fiendsmith engine. Like, the combo we can put up, even though we have to Fiendlock ourselves, it's still a lot better. We'd basically have to pass on just Unchained normally before we got Fiendsmith. But now you actually do get to play Yubel here. You get Fiendlocked, but you do get to play Yubel. So, you know, I still think overall it's a positive, you know. So here you shuffle back the 2 links. Make sure to keep Engraver in the grave, because that's what you want to summon back with Lacrima to make your Beatrice. Now, I'm not going to show you the Beatrice line again. I mean, I've shown you the Beatrice line enough times today. It's the same idea. You would make Beatrice and go Muckraker. I'm not showing you the line again, but yeah. So the last thing I'm going to show you is the Yubel 1-card combo that I showed you in the last video. It's still the same combo basically, but it's no longer a 1-card combo. You're going to need either some engine or you're going to need like a big Yubel in hand. So that's pretty unfortunate, but I just want to show you the combo updated, because like, I don't want to mislead people. That last guide showed a full Yubel combo, and now, well, we just can't do it. So let's check that out. All right, so when it comes to the 1-card combo I showed in my Fiendsmith video when I thought we would get Lacrima, it still works, but not as a 1-card combo. So now you would need Nightmare Throne and either some Yubel engine or one of the big Yubel names in your hand. So in this case, we have regular Yubel and Nightmare Throne. So the combo does work, but it just changes a little bit. So here we'll select a card to add to our hand. We add the Lotus, and then basically it's the same concept. You know, you go Lotus, summon out the Spirit of Yubel, and you get to set up the Nightmare Pain. The main difference here is before you do any of this stuff here, I would fusion Phantom of Yubel right away using the Yubel in the hand and the Lotus in the grave. That Lotus doesn't come up again for this field spell line, so that's why you can definitely afford to do this. So you just put the Phantom of Yubel early onto the field, then you can go Nightmare Pain very safely, pop the Spirit of Yubel on the field, search your Squirmer, and then the rest of the line is the exact same. So you go Spirit of Yubel effect, and you do activate the Nightmare Throne early. Here we go. Nightmare Throne is going to add to the hand the Terror Incarnate. We get to summon it. So summon the Terror Incarnate here. Spirit of Yubel can summon regular Yubel. With these two, we go into a Moon of the Closed Heaven. And then basically you summon Phantom again, but you have to use it as link material. I'll show you why. So we go into our link 1. Fiendsmith Requiem activate, and as you already know, we have to summon Engraver here. Unfortunately have to summon Engraver here instead of Lacrima. At this point, you do have to make a Phantom of Yubel again using the Terror Incarnate as well as the regular Yubel that are in your graveyard. And this second Phantom has to be used basically as link material to make Yama. That's it. Instead of being a 1-card combo, it's basically a 2-card combo for Yubel, where if you have the field spell plus either some Yubel engine, like for example, like opening of the Spirit Gates or something like that, where it gets you an extra body, or you have a big Yubel body, it's basically a question of not having to use that Phantom as link material. That's the main gist of it, basically. So here, Soul of Yama can add the Sharvara. At this point, you know, you can go ahead and activate Squirmer and special summon it. So special Squirmer, destroy card, no. With Squirmer plus him, we're going to make ourselves a Soul of Rage. So we use these two, make Soul of Rage. You can go for your Squirmer Engrave, summon the Spirit of Yubel. And again, the rest of the combo is the same as that video. So you pop the Spirit of Yubel, you summon the Sharvara, you get the Spirit of Yubel effect in the grave, and you get the Unchained Soul Lord of Yama effect as well. Soul Lord of Yama can summon the Spirit of Yubel that we just activated. So you target that Spirit of Yubel, you summon it, and you destroy the Soul of Rage here because you want to add back the Engraver to your hand. So special regular Yubel. There we go. Soul of Rage triggers. We get to add back the Engraver back to our hand. Perfect. with these two, you'll be able to make, well, you don't get to do it yet. First, you have to go Engraver because you're currently Fiend locked while the Charvara is on the field. So you add Tract. You go for Tract effect. I'm trying to do this pretty quick because this is not a deck profile, but I feel kind of bad about that video. So I just wanted to, you know, just like update people since we don't have Lacrima. So here we go, you know, discard Lurie, summon Lurie. Go into our sequence using Lurie as well as Charvara to get ourselves our Abominable Trap. So here's Fiendsmith sequence. Activate Charvara in the graveyard. Grab our Abominable so that we can summon back our Soul of Rage on opponent's turn. Then we can go ahead and make our Varudris using these two here. Make a Varudris. Very nice. Very nice. At this point, you can go over Fiendsmith sequence, Fusion Summon. Now, it's going to allow you to summon the Desiree just right here, but it's actually better to make Lacrima because you also have the graveyard effect of Tract. This card can Fusion Summon, so by using Tract, it's going to put back your Engraver in the grave so that on turn 3, you get the follow-up of Engraver. So instead of making the Desiree right away, I highly recommend making Lacrima and just shuffling back, you know, your Moon as well as your Lurie. So you shuffle back these two, you get to go Lacrima, and then Fiendsmith Lacrima is going to trigger and bring back the Engraver from the grave. Special summon it this time because we already used his hand effect. You could make an Appaloosa here. You know, sometimes people like to make Appaloosa, but that's not what we're doing here. We're going to go for Tract in the grave. Tract effect. And we're going to go... Oh, you could also make a Caesar here if you were running it, by the way. That's another option. Caesar's pretty good. That's what I did in the last one. So I figured I'd switch it up and show you the Desiree line instead this time around. So we can go Desiree here. So here's the Desiree. Very good. Desiree... Oh, no. Lacrima Engrave triggers. Does a little bit of burn damage and shuffles back a piece into your extra deck. It's really up to you. I mean... Honestly, I would probably just shuffle back the Requiem here just to get 2 negates on this guy. Or you could choose not to burn at all to give him 3 negates, honestly. That might be even better. But either way, here we go. Sequence, attach it to the Desiree, which makes it so his Omni Negate can negate 2 cards on the field. And on opponent's turn, we can summon the Soul of Rage. We still have our Engraver effect in the grave as like so if you had some type of follow-up, I guess you could use that. I don't think that's super useful here. It's probably better to keep it for later. And yeah, that's about it. We can go to end phase. And this is just against the digital bug bot. Again, I just love fighting this bot. But I'm just going to show you the added interaction to get the full board here. So we go for this. We get the Soul of Rage on the field. And now we've got our full interaction on board, right? Again, this is not a deck profile by any means. That really wasn't my goal with this. I don't think this list is fully optimized yet, especially without Lacrima. I ended up adding Appaloosa because if you do the 1-card combo where like you don't have another piece, you can't really summon Varudris. You kind of have to use your first Phantom as link material, and then you end up like pretty much making a Desiree plus an Appaloosa plus the trap to summon back your Soul of Rage plus a Phantom, which is still a really good board. All things considered. Yeah, it means that I'm just not sure yet about the list. But if you want to copy it, I mean, it's here. Feel free to copy. And yeah, this video was mostly just to reintroduce Fiendsmith since we didn't get the cards that I thought we would get. Sorry again about that. Hope the video was useful. I got a lot of comments asking me to make this, well, telling me basically that they were upset that I assumed Lacrima would come out. So that's my B. All right. See ya.